Cassie told the jury that the freak-offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless.
She did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy.
Cassie Ventura just named Christina Korm as keeping tabs on her for Diddy.
The second thing that was discussed this morning, will the media be able to see video of these freak-offs?
Honey, day 2 of this absolutely jaw-dropping courtroom circus just wrapped. And baby, when I say Cassie's testimony left that room stunned, I mean, jaws on the floor, eyes wide open, can't even blink kind of stunned. This wasn't just tea. It was scalding lava straight from hell. Cassie didn't just accuse Diddy of being controlling. Oh no, she dropped bombs. She claimed that not only did Diddy run her life like a creepy puppet master, but he even used escorts in the most humiliating ways imaginable. Buckle up, because the darkest part, she said Diddy made escorts PE on her. Yup, you heard that right. And sadly, we're only scratching the surface.
2 witnesses were called today, including a former security officer at the hotel, where Diddy is seen on video attacking Ventura brutally. You remember that video back in 2016. The prosecutors played the video. The witness testified that Diddy tried to pay him off with a giant wad of cash. The day's second witness was a male escort. This is where it really got very juicy, who says that he was paid by Diddy numerous times to have sex with Cassie while Diddy sat there in the corner, masturbating and watched. He says he once saw Diddy throw a liquor bottle at Cassie and heard him beating her in another room.
As if that wasn't disturbing enough, prosecutors pulled a jaw-dropping move and brought in the very same escort Cassie was talking about to take the stand. And girl, he did not hold back. On top of that, hotel staff who've stayed silent all these years are finally speaking up. They admonition that Diddy paid them off to keep their mouths shut. Can you imagine? A whole disgusting underground operation was going on in plain sight, and nobody dared to say a word. Until now.
Emily Johnson actually said that Cassie did choke on the urine of an escort when Diddy forced this escort to allegedly urinate in her mouth. They did say inner circle numerous times, I believe, really trying to amplify the RICO charges. Diddy couldn't have done all of these crimes without his inner circle, right? Without his bodyguard, without his driver, without his assistant. They talked about alleged kidnappings. That one time he kidnapped his assistant to go and try to find Cassie when he thought Cassie was cheating. I mean, it was wild. I feel like I could go on forever, but I won't. At a certain point, wasn't able to perform for Diddy and Cassie. He got erectile dysfunction because of what he saw. He said he saw Diddy at one point after an encounter drag Cassie by the hair from her computer seat all the way back to her bedroom while she was kicking and screaming and crying. And after she apologized and came out, he said that Diddy said, okay, you guys want to continue? And he couldn't perform. And that was it. From there, he could not perform after that. And he saw Diddy abuse Cassie 2 or 3 more times after that as well. And this is a muscular guy. He was 41 years old, a bit smaller, but again, he seemed incredibly affected by what he saw.
And was there, just quickly, Lauren, was there a point where he talked about, because I was trying to follow the blogs, again, it's hard, you were in there, it's difficult for us on the outside. Did he talk about Cassie at one point being under the influence of drugs to the point that she was slumped over, and Diddy still wanted him to have sex with her?
But then came the moment that shattered everyone in that courtroom. Cassie broke down, like completely lost it. In the middle of her heartbreaking testimony, she burst into tears. Whatever she said in that moment hit so deep, so raw, that people in the room could barely even look her in the eyes. It was that devastating.
Cassie told the jury that Diddy forced her into drug-fueled sex acts with male escorts while he watched, sometimes sitting in the corner and masturbating. Through tears, she said she took drugs to numb herself, ecstasy, cocaine, and ketamine, all of it allegedly supplied by Diddy. She said the freak-offs included as many as 4 male escorts at once and typically lasted 36 to 72 hours. The longest, she said, the longest freak-off that she says she was forced to perform in lasted 4 days. She said they took place around the world, from New York to Miami to Spain to even Turks and Caicos. And at every stop, Cassie said the hotel rooms were stocked by Diddy's staff with baby oil, condoms, and drugs. And she says that these hotel rooms, this is disgusting, the hotel rooms were left covered in baby oil and covered in blood and covered in urine. Cassie told the jury that the freak-offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless. But she said she couldn't say no because she says Diddy threatened to release videos of the freak-offs with her.
And then came more chilling revelations. The escort shared gut-wrenching details about what Diddy expected them to do. The kind of things that were so sick, so depraved, even the escort refused to go through with it. That's how bad it was. But this story isn't just about Diddy being out of control. Prosecutors claim he had help, a whole team of enablers, his chief of staff, his bodyguards. They were all allegedly involved in keeping this twisted, horrific nightmare hidden from the world.
Before they broke for lunch, Cassie Ventura described how freak-offs actually became a job, lasting 36 to 48 hours, the longest one lasting up to 4 days. No wonder the participants needed IV fluids after a freak-off. I'm just curious, to Lauren Cullen joining us at the courthouse, how was the jury responding?
What I will say is Cassie made a point to say that when she wasn't making music, she was actually having to, quote, recover from these freak-offs. And again, she did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest, to detox from these drugs.
At one horrifying point, Diddy even tried to kidnap Cassie when she attempted to run. That's how far he went to keep control. And the stuff Cassie spilled in court, beyond disturbing. It painted a picture of a man who didn't just want to possess her, he wanted to own every breath she took.
That she said on the stand. At one point, she said that a male escort had urinated in her mouth and she actually choked on it. And it was at that point someone in the courtroom actually had to walk out of the door there while, Diddy sat at the defense table listening on here. But as she was describing these events where she said that, there were multiple male escorts that were happening at one time, these freak-offs would happen for 2, 3, the longest 4 days at a time. And control is the word we need to talk about. That is what prosecutors really laid out. And you heard Cassie describe how every action during these freak-offs, which were between her and male escorts, not necessarily between her and her boyfriend, Sean Diddy Combs, he sat off to the side really directing things according to her and manipulating along with what he wanted to see. But he was in control, she said, of exactly how they did everything, from the platform shoes that she needed to wear, the clothes that she needed to wear occasionally, masks, wigs, whether or not the male escort could ejaculate, where he could ejaculate. Everything she said was controlled by him. And mind you, Brian, his children, 6 children, are in the courtroom at this point listening to all of this. And the jury was picked knowing that they needed a certain level of comfort to hear these types of descriptions. It was very emotional and really tough to hear, Brian.
She testified that anytime she refused to participate in his sick so-called freak-off sessions, he'd physically assault her. We're talking dragging her across the floor, punching her, no remorse, no mercy. And those freak-offs, they weren't just wild parties. They allegedly lasted for days. Days, y'all. Cassie was so broken, so drained, she had to be hooked up to IVs just to recover. Who does that to someone they claim to love?
Once he saw Diddy beat Cassie, he could no longer, perform and be engaged, because before he said even if they hadn't paid him, he was excited to be part of their world. He was enjoying that kind of activity with them. And then things started changing when he saw One time he was on the couch, Cassie was at her computer, and Diddy, he said, was in Cassie's bedroom. Now, Diddy apparently called out to Cassie to come into the bedroom, and she allegedly told him, just hold on a second, my personal information's on the computer. Now, Daniel describes being absolutely shocked when all of a sudden a liquor bottle, Diddy throws it from across the room right toward Cassie, and then he comes running towards her, grabs her by her hair, drags her into her bedroom and tells her, when I tell you to come, you don't wait, you just come when I tell you. And he says he then heard, after the doors closed, Diddy slapping her, beating her, yelling at her, and Cassie screaming out, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And he says he was just kind of frozen in place. He didn't know what to do. And prosecutors asked him, why didn't you intervene? Why didn't you go inside? And he said, look, I know this is somebody with a lot of resources. Quite frankly, I was afraid for my life. Now that drew a lot of objections from the defense, but the judge allowed that testimony. And he again reiterated that he was scared in that moment for Cassie, feeling like she was in a dangerous situation, but he didn't feel it was safe enough for him to intervene.
And the first time he drugged her, Cassie said she didn't even realize it had happened. He spiked her drink and casually told her afterward, oh yeah, that was ecstasy. She was just 22 years old when all of this began, 22, 23. That's when Diddy allegedly trapped her in a nightmare of drug-fueled orgies with multiple escorts, over and over and over, a twisted cycle. And he was the one pulling every single string.
Thought what we saw in that awful video from the Intercontinental was bad, but to hear the actual graphic details of what Cassie and others endured day after day for years is just completely heartbreaking. And to hear the sex worker actually try to offer her aid when, she was being beaten, and literally she went to him for solace, as opposed to the person who supposedly loves and cares about her. She had to jump into the arms of a sex worker, and he was literally like, this is not okay. You need to leave this relationship. And she did, unfortunately, what so many survivors do, which is, I'm okay, it's gonna be okay, basically, I can handle this. And the reality is, she really needed to get out because she was being violated and degraded in so many different ways. And my heart just breaks for her so much.
Melba, you're so right. Ours do as well. What's it going to be like today when she is perhaps called? We think that she's going to be witness number 3. We have a clip where we caught up with her lawyer outside of the courthouse on Monday. Let's take a quick look.
How is Cassie? Is she emotional? Is she feeling okay with this? Is she nervous?
She's ready.
She is ready. She's also pregnant, God bless her, and visibly pregnant too. So in the later stages of her pregnancy.
Cassie said these twisted freak-offs happened multiple times a month, and she always felt like Diddy was secretly recording everything. He'd just sit there and watch like it was entertainment. And after every one of these sessions, she'd be left physically wrecked. It took her weeks to recover.
First testimony in the trial taking jurors to Los Angeles, March 2016, in the hotel where that surveillance video was taken. The first witness, an LAPD officer who worked security at the hotel, he says he responded to a call for a woman in distress on the 6th floor.
When he got to the floor, he noticed that there was glass on the floor, that the vase and the flowers were broken.
The security guard described going back to Diddy's hotel room and standing in the doorway while Ventura grabbed her things. Inside, another man sitting at the corner of the bed.
So from the very start, the first witness brings the jury into that hallway where he said Sean Combs looked at him with a devilish stare and Cassie Ventura had a purple eye.
Sean Combs tried to offer him money, to give him money to make this go away, and he said he wouldn't accept the money.
The second witness to take the stand, Daniel Phillip, a man who said he was paid to have sex with Cassie on multiple occasions at several high-end New York City hotels, while Diddy watched. The witness said he was paid between $700 and $6,000 each time.
So Mr. Phillip agreed to go to the Gramercy Hotel to do a performance for a bachelorette party. At least that's what he thought. But when he got to the hotel, to the room, that Cassie opened up the door, he did not know that was Cassie, and that she told him, well, it's my birthday and my husband wants to do something special, so can you give me a massage?
It got so dark, even the escorts couldn't take it. One of them, David, the same guy Diddy paid, testified that he saw Diddy beat Cassie violently when she couldn't perform. David walked away from the whole thing traumatized. That's when it hit him. This wasn't some celebrity fantasy. This was a horror show disguised in luxury.
I think that will ultimately be a difficult thing for the defense to show because of all the evidence the prosecutors in the opening statement said that they had, showing that actually these women really weren't making a choice. You have the video of Cassie where, Sean Combs is beating her, striking her, dragging her out of that hallway video when she was trying to leave one of these freak-off sessions. That doesn't exactly look like a choice. We also heard from the prosecutors that there are text messages where one of the victims, known as Jane, is saying, I don't want to engage in these freak-offs. I don't want to do this. And then there are apparently also recorded calls that we are going to hear between Sean Combs and Jane, in which Sean Combs is offering her money and telling her to say that she wanted to engage in these freak-offs. None of those pieces of corroborating evidence sounds like these women had a choice. So I think that is going to be really critical evidence for the prosecution. And just one last point, even if there is the charges, but there are 2 charges, one for each victim, of transporting these women across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. Those charges do not require force, fraud, or coercion. So consenting adults traveling across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, if he did that, he is guilty. So these arguments about the women had a choice, they're not really a defense to these transportation for prostitution charges. I think those charges in particular will be very difficult for the defense to overcome.
And here comes the most heartbreaking twist yet. Diddy was paying escorts $4,000, 0 cents, to $6,000, 0 cents, just to sleep with Cassie while he watched. But you know what's even worse? Cassie was the one who had to call the escort. She was the one who asked him to pee on her. Not because she wanted it, but because she was terrified of what Diddy would do if she didn't. That's how deep his control went.
Cassie in court, reportedly tearing up on the witness stand as she testifies against ex-Diddy in his trafficking trial.
It'll be interesting to see how they react and respond to the alleged victim, Cassie Ventura, because she is expecting her 3rd child and is clearly pregnant. So how jurors will kind of see that or visually how they take that into consideration, we don't know, but really they're supposed to make sure that they stay fair and impartial and pay attention to the facts, which is something even the judge warned them about before they were official jurors.
Diddy maintains his innocence against all charges brought against him. Cassie, the prosecution's key witness in the case against the embattled mogul.
The defense acknowledged that the videos of alleged freak-offs will be shown, but that those videos, they said, didn't come from the government's investigation so much as it came directly from Cassie's phone. But they were essentially trying to raise doubt about why did she hold on to these videos, and again making this argument that this case is about love and infidelity and money. But the prosecution is saying, no, you will hear from witnesses that will tell you that they were abused, they were kicked, they were punched, they were coerced to taking drugs and to performing sex acts. So this is only the beginning.
Every single time she tried to break free, Diddy sent his employees, his bodyguards, like actual bounty hunters, to drag her back. He weaponized fear. It wasn't just physical imprisonment. He psychologically chained her, took her phone, controlled her schedule, cut her off from anyone who could help. It was a masterclass in emotional and mental domination.
Indeed, I can tell you that I got a chance to listen to her testimony inside court here behind us, and she was emotional. She broke down into tears at one point when she talked about participating in those freak-offs. She says that she was just 22 years old, had just turned 22 when Combs first proposed to her those drug-fueled sex marathons with escorts. She says eventually, though, they became almost weekly, and that they lasted on average, as you said, about 2 to 3 days, the longest one 4 days, and that she stayed awake by drugs that she says Combs gave to her, including ecstasy, cocaine, and She testified that those freak-offs made her feel dirty and worthless, but that she felt like she did not have a choice but to participate because she says Combs would become violent with her. As you pointed out, she says that he would bash her in the head, kick and drag her. and that she didn't know what would happen if she didn't do what he wanted her to do. She told the jury that she tried to express her feelings about participating, but in at least one text message shown to the jury, Combs told her to make it happen anyway.
One story Cassie shared had the entire courtroom clutching their pearls. Diddy allegedly locked her in a hotel suite for 3 days. During that time, people came and went for his twisted parties. She wasn't allowed to leave, to speak up, or even sleep properly. And when she tried to resist, he slammed her against the wall and told her, "You belong to me." That's not love, that's straight up possession. He'd gaslight her so much she didn't even trust her own memories. Then he'd love bomb her with gifts and apologies, just to repeat the cycle all over again.
Cassie Ventura is sharing new details about her relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. While testifying against her ex in his extradition trial, the pregnant singer, who is currently expecting her third child with husband Alex Fine, reveals to the jury that there was actually an overlap for when she and the late Kim Porter dated the rap mogul. In court, Ventura says, per NBC News, that she and Combs first started their physical relationship when they went on a trip to Miami. It was when they returned home that they began spending more time together, though the relationship was, quote, not public for many years. Ventura adds that Combs didn't want it to, quote, look bad, but also knew it was because of his children and personal things like his family. When she was asked who he was with at the time, Ventura replies, quote, Kim Porter. Combs and Porter, who unexpectedly died in 2018, reportedly dated on and off from 1994 to 2007, with them becoming parents to son Christian, twin daughters Delilah and Jessie, and Porter's son Quincy, whom she had from a previous relationship. Their romance ended in 2007, with her choosing to pack up all of her belongings and move out of their home while Combs was out of town. Porter has previously said to Essence magazine that she wanted it to be, quote, dramatic, adding, quote, if I pack up everything, twins and all, it means I'm out. Puffy's an action person, not a talk person. Ventura and Combs reportedly dated from 2007 to 2018, with her sharing after their romance that he was frequently violent towards the end of their relationship.
And let's not forget the blackmail. Diddy had everything on her. Text, videos, pictures. He told her flat out, speak out and your life is over. Then came the bombshell moment. Text messages between Diddy and Cassie shown to the court. They proved he was forcing her into those disturbing freak-off sessions. There's no spinning that. The evidence is out there and it's damning.
The first witness to testify was Officer Israel Flores. He was the security officer back in 2016 when we saw that now infamous recording of Sean Combs allegedly beating Cassie Ventura in that hotel hallway. We heard from him. We watched the video in its entirety from multiple angles in order to see exactly what unfolded. And as we watch this video, I want to say, by the way, everything we're about to talk about during this live shot could be perceived as disturbing materials. Just want to give our viewers a little bit of a warning here. Watching Sean Combs kick and drag and grab Cassie Ventura by her neck and by her hair over and over again. And then at one point, Cassie walks over to a phone that's in this lobby, lobby area of their 6th floor hotel room, and she calls for this instant services, and a security guard comes up, and at that point he's able to separate them and he walks them down the hallway towards the hotel room where they were. Cassie apparently telling the security officer that she just wants to leave, and Sean Combs reportedly telling her that she's not going to leave. And when they opened the door to that hotel room, there was another man, according to this officer, sitting in the hotel room.
One of the key witnesses that day, but get this. Once the case went public, Diddy tried to buy her silence. He actually reached out offering cash to say she was never forced into anything. But she played it smart. She recorded the call, and while she testified, Cassie broke down again. She sobbed as she revealed Diddy wasn't just abusing her, he was pimping her out. And when she couldn't keep up with his disgusting freak-off marathons, he drug her up with cocaine and Molly to keep her going. No rest, no care, just control. If she resisted, he'd flip, snap into something violent, terrifying.
an LAPD officer, a former security guard who can lay the foundation for that video and can talk about the black eye that Cassie suffered and the fact that she wanted to leave and escape this freak off. And Combs reportedly offering him a bribe to cover it up. So I think it's a very important first witness to get that video in. In addition to the violence against Cassie, Combs broke a vase over in the hotel. So that's something that also shows the sort of violent streak, really erratic behavior, him sitting in a towel with just his socks on. So really disturbing and also graphic details by Flores, the first government.
Cassie then dropped another truth bomb that shook the courtroom. Diddy was cheating on her the entire time he was dating Kim Porter, and this all began when Cassie was only 19. 19? Diddy? He was nearly 40. The courtroom started seeing the bigger picture. This wasn't about a twisted relationship. It was about a man obsessed with domination, manipulation, and surveillance. He tracked her constantly, had people following her, bugged her spaces with surveillance equipment just to monitor every move.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy. Some of those details we've seen in prior lawsuits, but to hear her on the stand actually giving those details, reliving those moments herself. Also, you have to remember, she's very pregnant right now. So I'm gonna be curious to see how long she makes it on the stand, how she's emotionally able to weather all of these questions. And what's going to be interesting to watch is, you know, the defense from the very start in their opening statement said that she chose to be there. So I'm going to be curious to see how she responds to questions about, was this her choice or did she feel like she had to do all of this?
A former bodyguard testified that Diddy would lose it if Cassie didn't pick up her phone right away. Throwing stuff, screaming, sending people out like she was lost property. And every time she tried to escape, every single time he found her. Why? Because people close to her were secretly feeding him information. That's how far his control stretched. Honey, day 2 of this absolutely jaw-dropping courtroom circus just wrapped. And baby, when I say Cassie's testimony left that room stunned, I mean jaws on the floor, eyes wide open, can't even blink, kind of stunned. This wasn't just tea. It was scalding lava straight from hell. If she resisted, he flipped, snapped into something violent, terrifying. Cassie then dropped another truth bomb that shook the courtroom. Diddy was cheating on her the entire time he was dating Kim Porter. And this all began when Cassie was only 19. Diddy, he was nearly 40. The courtroom started seeing the bigger picture. This wasn't about a twisted relationship. It was about a man obsessed with domination, manipulation, and surveillance. He tracked her constantly, had people following her, bugged her spaces with surveillance equipment just to monitor every move. A former bodyguard testified that Diddy would lose it if Cassie didn't pick up her phone right away.
Oh, stop.
Screaming, sending people out like she was lost property, and every time she tried to escape, every single time, he found her. Why? Because people close to her were secretly feeding him information. That's how far his control stretched. Even when Cassie wasn't near him, she could feel his presence. The fear, it was constant. His control, it wasn't just physical. It was mental, emotional, spiritual. He made sure that she would never feel safe. Hotel security guards from as far back as 2016 were dragged into court, and what they had to say left everyone breathless. One of them testified that he personally saw Diddy beating Cassie, and after the assault, Diddy tried to bribe him with cold, hard cash to stay silent. Another guard admitted Diddy kept Cassie close even when she was desperate to run, like a hostage. Then came the moment that made everyone's blood run cold. Cassie took a deep breath and said, on record, he would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down. You could hear a pin drop. She exposed the freak-offs for what they were. Jobs. Yes, jobs. She was being ordered to arrange them, hire escorts, set up everything, perform. All under Diddy's control. She had no choice, none. Because if she didn't comply, she feared blackmail, retaliation, or worse, and get this. Every time she spoke, she had to pause, catch her breath. The trauma, you could feel it in every word. Meanwhile, Diddy just sat there, emotionless, hands folded in his lap, looking like he didn't have a care in the world. And let's not forget, this was the first time they'd seen each other face to face since 2018. The tension through the roof. Prosecutors warned the court that the worst was still coming. Now, buckle up. because the most horrific moment of all was yet to come. Cassie shared that on one terrifying night, she was trying to escape from a man, another man who was in the room with them. And what did Diddy do? He forced her to sleep with him. Not help, not intervene. He made her go through with it. She was trapped, cornered, powerless. And there were witnesses. Let that sink in. Now fast forward to today, Cassie is just days away from giving birth. But that didn't stop her? No. She walked into that courtroom, pregnant, brave, powerful, and told her truth. That level of courage, unmatched. She's done being silent, done being scared. She's taken her power back. But even now, as the walls are closing in on Diddy, the court has drawn some boundaries. Judge Aaron Subramanian has ruled that the video footage from one of Diddy's so-called freak-offs, yes, actual video of what happened, will not be released to the public. That's right. The court has chosen to protect the victims from further trauma. No open court screenings, no media circus around the graphic footage. And just when you thought you couldn't be more shocked, Cassie named names. Yes, she name-dropped Diddy's ex-chief of staff, Christina Korm, the same woman Cassie says was keeping tabs on her for Diddy. Cassie revealed that early in their relationship, Diddy gave her ecstasy without her knowledge, hidden in a Gatorade bottle. From there, it spiraled into years of abuse, control, surveillance. When asked, how did Diddy keep tabs on you? Cassie responded, he'd send security to come find me, or a trusted assistant. And who were those assistants? David James, Christina Korm. Now here's the twist. Back in 2018, Christina Korm wasn't even the chief of staff. She was just an assistant, but she's now been named in multiple civil suits connected to Diddy's abuse. And the fact that Cassie exposed her so early in this trial, everyone's now asking, what else did she know? And what was she doing behind the scenes? And it doesn't stop there. Diddy's former assistant, Philip Hines, has already testified to the grand jury. And baby, he brought receipts. He presented actual text messages between himself and Christina Korm, where Korm was asking for supplies for the freak-offs. Yep, freak-off supplies. Let that horror settle in. According to Cassie, Diddy's entire inner circle, Christina Korm, Neil, Dominic, and others, they didn't just know what was happening. They helped facilitate it. They monitored Diddy's moods, managed Cassie's actions, handled logistics for abuse, not support. Cassie revealed something heartbreaking. I talked to Korm about a lot. She knew a lot of my personal things. That statement hit hard. It meant Korm wasn't just a silent observer. She was someone Cassie confided in. And still, Cassie claimed she stayed loyal to Diddy, stayed quiet, covered for him. But what really chilled the courtroom to the bone was when Cassie described how Diddy's staff prepped her before the freak-offs, like she was an object being handed over. Christina Korm and others would give her instructions, tell her what to wear, what substances to take, what behaviors to display. It wasn't care, it wasn't support, it was manipulation, control, grooming, all of it dressed up as assistant. But it was never about her. It was about making sure she complied. And just when we thought things couldn't get darker, victim number 3 vanished. She was supposed to testify. Her name was going to be revealed the moment she took the stand. But she disappeared. Poof, gone. Prosecutors say they can't reach her. Some are saying she got cold feet. Others, they're worried she was pressured, or worse, silent. And if that wasn't eerie enough, even a juror asked to be removed from the panel for personal well-being. What is going on behind the scenes? Cassie told the court she often felt drugged, even before anything started. Sometimes she'd wake up with no memory of the night, only to be told later what happened. Sometimes she was shown videos Diddy allegedly kept as leverage. And that leverage, he wasn't afraid to use it. Cassie said Diddy looked her straight in the eye once and said, I made you, and I can destroy you. Jurors couldn't take it. Some looked away. Others visibly trembled. This wasn't just abuse. This was a full-blown criminal empire of silence, fear, and domination. Cassie kept going. She testified that Diddy's enforcer, R. Rock, was one of the ones used to punish her. He'd take her car, kick her out of her home, snatch her jewelry, whatever Diddy felt like, if she tried to hide. R. Rock was sent to drag her back. This wasn't just toxic love. This was a full-blown criminal operation designed to strip her of her freedom, her voice, her power, and the most chilling part, even now, as the truth explodes in headlines, witnesses are going silent. Some have vanished. And the question on everyone's lips, how many more were involved? And how far is Diddy willing to go to cover his tracks? Because make no mistake, this is no longer just about Diddy. This is about everyone who helped him, who stayed silent, who covered it up. As more victims come forward and the courtroom testimonies get darker and darker, one thing is clear: the empire is falling. Like, subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit that bell because, honey, we're not done spilling this tea. We're just getting started. See you in the next one.